the very beginning, it was the children who gave me my power. The Springwood Slasher. That's what they called me.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned. And if you listen to the old-timers in town, they'll tell you he's still out there. Some folks claim they've even seen him. Right in this area. The girl who survived that night at Camp Blood, that Friday the 13th, she claims she saw him. She disappeared 2 months later. Legend has it that Jason saw his mother beheaded that night, and he took his revenge. A revenge that he'll continue to seek if anyone ever enters his wilderness again. Jason's out there.
You can't be alive.
Well, it's coming to an end of an era. That's right. Did I say error?
Era.
End of an era.
Yeah.
Error. I don't know. Today we're here to wrap up the Friday 13th retrospective. You know, we always think, oh my God, we're almost done. But you know what? It's kind of bittersweet.
It's been an epic.
As bad as some of these films are, they're fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we got something out of it.
Well, yeah.
On a side note, we just found out yesterday of the passing of an actress I always appreciated, Louise Fletcher.
Yes.
She was one of those actresses who probably played, and I mean this, of all time, probably one of the most vile human beings of all time ever portrayed on the silver screen.
And greatest villain as well.
Yeah. Nurse Ratched.
Yeah.
From One Who Flew the Cuckoo's Nest. She got the Oscar for it.
Well, well deserved. I mean,
every actor in that film deserved it.
Yeah.
But, I think it was bittersweet for her because, even though she worked continuously the rest of her career, I don't think she never really got that key role for her, like a Meryl Streep would consistently work, or somebody she was never a headliner. She was always a character actress, and I don't think she ever got her real due just because people only pictured her as she did it so well as Nurse Ratched.
Yeah, it's almost like she peaked too soon.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah. I think her and no disrespect to these actresses, I like anyone I'm talking about here. I think Ellen Burstyn is the same way.
She always reminds me of Ellen Burstyn, actually. So she did. Now maybe that could be the Exorcist connection, because obviously Louise Fletcher played sort of Ellen Burstyn's stand-in, for want of a better phrase, in Exorcist 2. I think also that Louise Fletcher is quite possibly the only person who can hold their head high after the absolute travesty that is and was Exorcist 2.
Yeah,
and I include Richard Burton and Linda Blair in that, sadly.
Next to Bette Davis's portrayal in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, that's my favorite role, my favorite movie villain by a woman. I just love that character. Mm-hmm. It's so cruel and so it's just a wonderful performance by Bette Davis.
But the great thing about Ratched is
I think. Let me finish there, dude.
Go ahead.
I'll edit that out. Yeah, let me. I feel that Nurse Ratched is up there. So, that's pretty good company for Louise Fletcher to keep with Bette Davis, who's probably considered one of the best actresses of all time.
Yeah.
If not the best actress of all time.
Well, the great thing about Nurse Ratched is that there's a subtlety to her performance. It's so, she's so believable as a real person, and, gradually her nastiness comes out,
Well, the great thing about her performance, there isn't much, and what I mean by that, she plays it so deadpan.
It's subtle.
She's emotionless.
Yeah,
and she's like a robot, and it's so evil.
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes the same thing. In I can't remember the character, but he played the Nazi in Schindler's List.
Herman Goth or Goth.
His character is so vile.
Yes,
and again, but very emotionless too.
Yeah, and so believable at the same time. And these people are essentially sociopaths, that they're playing, and they do such stellar jobs, portraying them.
And probably besides smaller roles, it was One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Schindler's List that boosted these stars.
Yeah.
That they became a household name because of playing these vile characters.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting. But we are moving on here. But rest in peace, Louise Fletcher. And she did a film called Brainstorm that I really enjoyed. That was with Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood.
So I haven't seen it.
People want to check it out. You probably enjoy it. It's called Brainstorm. It was the film where Natalie Wood died during filmmaking.
Right.
And they had to use a stunt double for her.
Right.
But it worked. But that's a good film that she did right after. Pretty close to after When It Flew the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
But Christopher Walken, he's always good to watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're here to talk about Friday the 13th again. Excuse me. Yes, and we're just kind of going to jump into a little bit, and then at the end of this podcast, we're just going to go ahead and kind of give us our actual in order of how what's the best, what's the worst, that kind of thing, and then we'll just move on and until they make another one, which we know is going to happen.
Yeah, we'll have to update our retrospective.
Yeah, no kidding. So, I don't have my notes in front of me. Damn it. I'm so unprepared. Just like a lot of these filmmakers are. But I will say this, and I'll put my cards on the table pretty early at this point. I will say that these next two are far, 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 far superior than the shit we've been given in recent years as we talked Friday the 13th.
Well, I'm going to have a few sort of shocking statements for you, Ciaran, concerning these two, but we'll get to it.
Let's just jump into Freddy versus Jason. Now, there's a couple original ideas that passed that were written down or based on a comic of some sort or were scripted at some point. One idea was, and this is kind of where they went, where Jason and Freddy are in hell.
Yes.
And the devil asked them, whoever goes up there and brings me the most souls will be his Grim Reaper. And the other one will just die. And that would have been kind of an interesting concept. They kind of went that direction a little bit with Freddy going into hell to look for Jason.
Yeah.
But they didn't go that way. And I thought that would have been kind of cool. They also tinkered with, but again, they kind of pepper it in here, is where Freddy is the reason why Jason drowned as a kid.
Right, that could have been interesting.
That would have been interesting. He killed him.
Yeah, that would have been very good, actually.
Yeah, they tinkered a little bit in the Freddy versus Jason, but I thought that would have been a good route to go. Mm-hmm. They went with Ronnie Yu, was pretty much kind of hot with the Bride of Chucky, kind of reinventing Chucky and make it more of a tongue-in-cheek. Well, Chucky always was tongue-in-cheek.
Well, the original wasn't that tongue-in-cheek.
It wasn't that tongue-in-cheek, but like Freddy, they all went that direction.
Oh, big time.
Even our boy here, Jason.
Yes.
But he wasn't a bad choice, and we've got a much better Jason. This guy, the next one we're going to be talking about is probably one of my favorite Jasons. Ken Kersinger. He is a 6'7" stunt man. This is the way Jason should be played. He's tall, lanky, clean mask. This is Jason.
Silent and deadly.
This is Jason. Now, obviously, some fans are upset that Kane Hodder didn't come back. For two reasons, I'm glad he didn't. A, I never liked him in the role. He's too chunky and too just doesn't fit the persona of Jason. And also, sadly, he was given shit scripts. So when I think of Kane Hodder, no disrespect to Kane Hodder, I just see shit cinema. And that's no reflection on him. That's just on those movies are a nightmare. This movie, 19 million, made 82, so that's pretty decent.
Yeah, it was a big success.
Big success.
And in fact, apparently I was reading somewhere Kelly Rowland, who stars in Freddy vs. Jason, and who was also in the girl group Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
Apparently, whenever she's being interviewed, or whenever she has been interviewed over the years, the interviewers have brought it up as a sort of jab at her, sort of making fun, but she has always defended it and stuck to her guns and said, hold on a minute, this film was a great success. I'm very proud of my work in it. So good on her.
Good for her.
Yeah, totally.
Because you know what? Besides the lead actress, who's horrible, the actors in this are all right.
Yeah.
You know, and
Catherine Isabel is a brilliant actress and has went on to a very successful sort of career in horror films and series.
Well, she's Laurie.
No, she's not.
Oh, good, because Laurie's horrible.
No. Catherine Isabel is, I forget the character's name, the one with the baseball cap.
Gibb. She's
yes,
Gibb.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, you had Jason Ritter, John Ritter's kid. Mm-hmm. He's in this.
Double of them.
Yeah, you had a couple character actors who've always done a lot of horror, especially the brothers, Mark and Bobby. No, David.
Yes.
They've done a lot of stuff. But anyways, yeah, you know, good on her for doing that. You know, I have to say, for what we got in the last, you know, what's funny? I talked about Jason Goes to Hell and how I kind of liked it a bit. And don't get me wrong, when I say kind of like, I was, you know, I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying it's a lot better than the shit we've been given. But the cool thing about this one, this is New Line Cinema, who owns obviously the last two we just talked about, and it kind of plays well with Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
it's kind of a direct sequel to that.
Yes, and in fact, I would say that Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and Freddy vs. Jason are like a sort of mini trilogy within the entire series.
I wouldn't give you. I thought about that. I wouldn't give you Jason X. I think they actually thought, "Fuck it, we got to throw that away."
Well, apparently, in the sort of New Line sort of canon, the actual chronological order, the order of events are Jason Goes to Hell, then Freddy vs. Jason, then Jason X.
Oh, so they tweak it a bit.
Yeah.
I'd rather just forget about Jason X. I'm gonna, when we get to the ending here, I'll tell you how I revamped my decision after thinking about it.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about the opening scene. Now, we talked about the original Nightmare on Elm Street a couple of years ago here on the podcast. We all liked it, of course, but my argument was, how come movies like Friday can get censored and edited to shreds, but a movie about a pedophile killer of children could turn into a puppetry character and comic books and TV shows and kids dressing up as Halloween? I never understood that. And they stick by their guns, because the opening sequence here, you have an introduction, kind of the newbies, can let people know what Freddy is.
Yeah.
And it shows him killing a kid. Well, it doesn't show up, but you get the idea. Kills the girl, and then licks her photograph.
Yes. He's a pedophile. I mean, yeah.
But that's a pretty dark persona for such a beloved. I mean, at least Jason and Michael kill horny teens.
Yes.
You know?
I think the thing is, I mean, when I was a kid growing up watching the Freddy films, I didn't put the connection there that Freddy was a paedophile. It wasn't until I was an adult that I put this connection. So I think a lot of people just saw Freddy as not so much a paedophile. It didn't really sort of. It was more surface. It was more of a surface boogeyman for people. And it didn't really analyse it or examine it. You know what I mean? They just looked on the surface of this boogeyman with sort of basically knives for the hand. You know what I mean? For fingers, sorry, for the hand. Yeah. But if you, and it doesn't take much analysing, to be honest. Like, it's not exactly flipping. You know, it's pretty out there. Like, you know, and that, you know, it's pretty visible. So yeah. But as a kid, I was the same. I just, in my head, as a kid, watching these, you know, the Freddy films, basically Freddy was just a murderer, a child killer.
Yeah.
I didn't have him down as a paedophile. It wasn't until I got a bit older that I say, no, actually, this guy's a fucking pedo.
Yeah, this one kind of nails that rumor pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Nails you right in the head with it.
I have to say, it's quite well handled, because it's not, you know, obviously you don't want to see that shit on screen. You know, it's just unpleasant. You know, although you know, stories about paedophilia or whatever, I suppose, you know, if the context is right and the tone is right, of course it can be done. But with it's hard to do something like that with Freddy, who had become such a sort of a camp, sort of wisecracking character. So I'm glad it was just suggested and not actually, you know, explicitly shown on screen or whatever.
Well, they would never do that.
No, yeah.
Why that'd be no.
You know, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they handled it well, but you never know. Fucking some of the, you know, we see some batshit crazy stuff in films. So yeah, but it's just suggested, but it's pretty obvious at the same time.
So the story itself, Laurie now lives in Nancy's old house.
Yes.
And Freddy, now this whole town dopes up their kids so they can't dream. So this whole town has hidden or tried to hide the fact that Freddy exists. He doesn't exist. Don't mention his name.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, apparently the drugs in the asylum that they're giving the kids, this is a huge reference to Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
I didn't catch that. Catch that.
And it's the same drug that they're using in that. I think, I'm near certain.
What is it, Napoli or
yeah?
Napoli, isn't that
It's something like that. It's basically a made-up drug for the film, but it is, as far as I'm aware, the same drug that they're using on the kids or experimenting on the kids in Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. Didn't really follow the. I mean, I've seen them all, but
it's the same asylum.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Freddy needs to come back. And in order for him to come back, he needs to be remembered. I'm going with the story so far. I think it's kind of clever.
Yeah.
So Freddy's whole thing is he threads on fear. So in order to get that fear back, they need to know he exists. So in order for him to do that, he resurrects Jason to come back, kind of like a copycat killer, and to start panicking the town folk. And so once he's remembered, he will come back and thrive again.
Yes.
So he does this toying with Jason in his dream, which was a nice little scene, bringing his mother and stuff involved.
I would love to have seen Betsy Palmer return.
She said she wasn't going to do it. They said they weren't going to offer anything, and she's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
And she's right. I wouldn't do it either. But so he's back, Jason. There's a nice shot where Jason and Freddy merge. We know these two horror icons are moving in together. And where all you do is you see a long shadow of Jason walking down the street, and then you see the corner sign of Elm Street.
Yes.
It's a great way to introduce Jason to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Listen, we talked about what hurt the last couple films, especially 6, 7, and 8, is the MPAA. It's amazing how times change, because this movie's fucking brutal. It's got some good gore.
Yeah.
And I definitely applaud it. The bed scene is fucking just... Again, they do it to a character who's a douchebag. You're introduced to the boyfriend who lasts about 10 seconds, but nobody is this much of a douche. They did this on purpose because they know the audience would go crazy.
Yeah, they would cheer. They're basically cheering for Jason.
And Jason stabs him brutally by the machete. Mm-hmm. It's actually the first time we get to see Jason really use a machete and see how hard he uses it.
Violently, yeah.
Yeah, and then he crushes the bed. It is.
But your mom was a complete asshole. What was it? Don't make me ask you twice, bitch. Or babe, or whatever. Yeah.
Don't kiss me when you smoke.
Yeah.
they're menthols.
I think Catherine Isabel should have been the star of this. Maybe not her character. She should have played Laurie.
The girl who played Laurie was... Well, she was always whimpering or whispering.
She looks great, but she can't act for shit.
Yeah, horrible. Mm-hmm. She's got that whiny, whispery voice.
Yeah, it's like she's trying to play the sort of good girl in these types of films, but she just doesn't pull it off. I think she was basically hired because she looked so great.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason.
And yet again, it's back to the old sort of trope of, teenagers played by actresses and actors that clearly aren't fucking teenagers and much older.
Well, yeah, I'd give you that. They're worse off of the originals, but this one is.
It's not as bad.
It's not as bad. Yeah. They can get away with it, I suppose.
But Laurie is clearly in her mid to late 20s.
So after Jason does this rampage, the cops are starting to go, "Oh my God! Don't say his name, everybody! Don't say his name." Well, Freddy does come up and becomes Freddy again. Now, I like the concept that he created the monster, and now the monster can't be stopped.
Yes,
so
it's an old trope.
He realizes, oh, fuck, I can't stop Jason now.
And then the monster turns on its creator.
Yeah, that little Frankenstein kind of thing going on, which I enjoyed because I think they play on the Frankenstein bit quite a bit, especially after 6, Jason Lives. They play quite a bit on that with the Jason character.
Oh, definitely. Even with Jason's resurrection in the graveyard in 6, it's very Hammer.
Yeah. Of course, that's where it all started, really. So let's just talk about the killings at this point, because this whole concept is Mark and Will escape from the asylum, the dream asylum, whatever it is. So stupid. And I'm still going with it. They break out to go warn his ex-girlfriend Lori and the team that we're being drugged here. Something's going on. They find out
your father's involved, Lori.
Yeah, but you kind of find out her father really wasn't involved.
Yes.
He was just protecting her. But so they have to go from Springwood, Illinois, Ohio to New Jersey. That's an 8-hour drive, by the way. I know that.
Don't they steal a van or something? Or?
They steal a van. Now, the director says in the film it looks like it's 2 minutes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it actually, we had a montage scene where there was a day and night shot.
Yeah. Which
I don't know why they didn't keep it in. Because it's a good drive to Jersey, especially with the Jason in the back seat. That was... But the cool thing is it mixed it well because you had some, fun, cheesy deaths and some tongue-in-cheek ones, like with the dope head, the pothead.
Yes.
He gets cut in half.
Can I say, though, what does let this film down, and I know it's almost 20 years old, but I think it's a very good script, but sometimes the realization, especially the deaths with CGI, it's fucking bad. The CGI here is pretty ropey, to say the least. For some reason, I don't know, it's some sort of mental block. I can handle ropey practical effects, no problem. I can suspend my disbelief, no problem. But for some reason, my brain just gets pissed off by bad CGI, and it's bad in here.
I don't think it's bad. I think CGI was just. I personally don't think it is. I think this is where CGI was starting to take over a bit. Mm-hmm. I would like to see more practical, but the problem with practical is because it's time consuming. So, and that's the problem now. What they do when they make these films,
then that's lazy.
Well, no, it's not lazy
by the filmmakers. It's
not by the filmmakers' fault. When you have a studio run by 2-year-olds who already have a fucking release date 9 months down the road, we want this film out in 9 months. You have to take. Producer saying, yeah, you have to. You're fucked.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, you're right. It's the producers as opposed to the filmmakers. I would say in most cases.
And that's not even the producers. I think it would be the producers, but more of the executive producers who just sit in their fucking suits. You don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yes.
So but I'll tell you what, no, you're right. It's got like when they chop the kid in half, and the kid wakes up with his dead head in his hand. That's fun. That was kind of funny. But at the end of the day, it's got some good gore. They mix it well. The cornfield scene is the best scene in the film
by far. The rave scene. Yeah.
I love the fact when that almost a date rape was about to happen. I love the fact.
Yes. No, I know what you mean. The guy who, whenever Catherine Isabel is on the ground.
When Gib is drunk, she's passed out. She's obviously dreaming. We know this now.
Yes.
And she's about to be date raped by some asshole. And Freddy's about to kill her in her passed out mode.
Yeah.
But Jason intervenes and kills him.
And then Freddy's furious.
Yeah, Freddy realizes, oh, fuck, I created a monster.
Yeah. She was mine!
That whole cornfield scene where he takes out the 2 potheads by twisting his head around and throwing the fire machete through the guy's body and just walking through the cornfield on fire. It's beautifully shot.
Yes.
And just slicing everybody in the party. He probably had more deaths in that scene than all the Friday the 13th combined.
Apart from the final battle between Freddy and Jason, it's the best scene in the film for me.
Yeah, the final battle is up there. Final battle would be the second best scene. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the first. The first time they fight each other, it's actually quite good. Mm-hmm. This film, when it's tagged Freddy versus Jason, you get that.
Oh yeah,
which is nice. You get the first part with the cornfield where he's more of a spirit at this point, Freddy. Then you get when Freddy comes out and he can play and start killing again. He takes Jason into his territory in the dream world.
Yes.
And I thought that was a great scene because what I enjoyed about it, I liked how it played the fear that he has the fear of water.
Yes.
And how Jason has a fear of drowning.
Yes, and Freddy has a fear of basically fire. I think it's suggested as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he got burned alive.
Yeah.
But because starting with Jason Lives, when Tommy Jarvis says, "Let's drown him," because that's got to be his weakness. So they kind of they keep the continuity a little bit there.
Oh yeah,
and they play on it, and it plays well. That scene where he becomes a little boy, because I do now. This is again,
that's an effective scene. Yeah,
I think what Jason Takes Manhattan was trying to do was this scene.
Yes,
where
as soon as I saw that scene, it immediately brought me back to the final scene of Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, and then the great thing about the scene, and I'm probably giving it more credit than, but honestly, what I got out of it, so he turns into a little baby Jason when he died. Jason, age whatever that was, 11, 10, whatever, and he's in the fetal position, and because he's scared, and fucking Freddy takes his nail and he just his blade and pops it into his skull.
Yes,
it's pretty.
To get his like memories type thing.
His memory. And then you see him being bullied as a kid, being thrown into Crystal Lake. Jason Freddy then kind of drowning him. Kind of talked about that at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
And they play on it. I'll tell you what, you kind of feel sorry for Jason.
Oh yeah. And Laurie actually I think this is a very well written script, because Laurie obviously feels sorry for him as well. And she's like trying to like put him at peace, if you know what I mean. Even though he's a monster, or he's become a monster. But Laurie realizes this, and Laurie is trying to she's no time for Freddy type thing. Freddy's just a brutal monster to her. But you can see that she feels sorry for Jason.
Yeah, I mean you can see that when she tries to help him at the end. Mm-hmm. So I like the fact they play on what Nancy did in the original. We got to bring Freddy out.
Yes, Laurie then rips him out. Yeah,
so now we have Freddy and Jason had their little battle in Freddyland. Now let's have them in reality.
In the real world.
Jason fight him on his turf. Let's get him out and let him fight in Crystal Lake. Now, is Crystal Lake becoming a condo?
I was just about to say that there. Just by pure chance, there happens to be a load of construction going on with loads of potential weapons for both Freddy and Jason. How convenient, but whatever. It's Freddy versus Jason. It's not going to be, it's not going to. You're not supposed to overanalyze it. Even though I was talking about analyzing, Freddy's character earlier. Yeah, it is a big plot convenience. They're just having this they're just this random construction site on Camp Crystal Lake for some reason, but it's very handy for Freddy and Jason to grab weapons.
So, on the way to Crystal Lake, she's asleep, Laurie, and Jason's asleep, and this is where Jason is having his little nightmare. Yeah. That's where
we're back to the 1950s,
where Kelly Rollins' character has to give Jason mouth to mouth.
Yes, that's right. I was sad that didn't go full on with that, because that would have been quite a sort of gross out comedy scene.
It would have been. It was not a bad little scene though. You thought, we talked about how there's a difference between camp and hokey.
Yeah,
and these guys teeter on it, but they get away with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't ruin the film when they get to that border where don't do it.
Kelly Rowland is very good in this film.
It's not bad.
Kelly Rowland of Destiny's Child,
Probably better actress to Beyonce. I can't stand Beyonce, so.
Oh well, I've never seen Beyonce in anything. Well, apart from that Austin Powers sequel.
No, she did Dreamgirls, I think. Didn't she do Dreamgirls?
So, I don't think I've seen that. What's that about? I think I've heard of it.
It's a semi-biography on the Supremes, I think.
Oh, right, yes. I haven't seen it.
I could be wrong, and if I'm right, oh my God, how do I know that?
She played, like, Foxy Cleopatra or something in one of the Austin Powers sequels.
Foxy Cleopatra?
Yeah, it's like a 70s...
Pam Grier.
Yeah, that's what it's based on. It's basically like a sort of 70s blaxploitation film homage.
So when Jason's sleeping, he's fighting Freddy, and then she's trying to bring Freddy out at Crystal Lake.
Yes.
So when she's fighting that scene, even though we know it's Freddy, when her dad gives her the tongue,
yeah,
that was awesome.
I think that's a bit of a sort of reference as well to the phone scene in the original.
Yeah, they do play homage to some of the original stuff,
and it's nice homage. Like, it's not overdone.
Yeah, it's not thrown in your face. You kind of got to think about it.
Yeah, well, they're more ones for the fans.
Hypnosil, that's the name of the drug.
Right, yeah.
And it's a non-approved drug, and it's being used in a major facility. So the FDA hasn't approved this, and they have a whole facility where they keep kids using it.
Big pharma.
And so how do they get away with this?
Yeah. It's,
you know,
I mean, it's like, you know, it's Freddy versus Jason. It's not a serious, documentary.
Yeah, it's not one
big
of
pharma in America.
Yeah. It could be. There you go. It would be funny. Freddy versus Jason becomes a court drama.
Yeah.
The misuse of drugs.
Yeah.
In Springwood.
Keeping kids, repressing their dreams so that they forget about Freddy. Tell me this: who's the actor that plays the sheriff? Because I've seen him in loads of stuff.
He's character actor.
Yeah, I've seen him in so much stuff, but I just couldn't sort of like
Sheriff Campbell. That's his.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff. Isn't he the dad? Isn't that?
I'm not too sure.
He was the dad in Critters.
Yeah, was he?
And he was in Hitcher. We just talked about him last week, a couple weeks ago.
Right.
No, it can't be because he was in.
He
was in Jason Goes to Hell.
Was he? Oh, I don't know. But
I don't know.
He's one of those faces that pop up in like loads of films I've seen.
He's a character actor who works.
Like, yeah, very dependable. One of those ones,
He's not like Denzel Washington who's got 50 titles. This guy probably has 300 titles.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's all like playing cops or sort of fathers or that sort of thing. Yeah.
We need a doctor for Matlock. I'm there.
Yeah, grab that guy. Yeah, yeah.
So we get to the big showdown, and she brings Freddy out, and we won't go through the whole song and dance, but I'll tell you what, it played like a WWE meets a kung fu movie.
It's good fun.
It's good fun. And I personally think Jason won.
So do I. I was just going to ask you who won.
Jason.
I would say Jason.
Yeah, I'm not a Freddy fan, so I'd go with Jason anyway.
Although I would be more of a Freddy fan, but I would have to be honest, I think Jason won. Although there is that decapitated head and the wink at the end.
There was a nice shot when Laurie was under, and she was trying to bring him out, and it's gorgeous. You almost want to get a print of it. When she's on the dock, it's all red background.
Yes.
And Freddy flies out of the water.
Oh yes, that's
in slow motion.
Yeah,
that's a gorgeous shot.
Yeah, I don't think that's CGI. Although I think the background's enhanced by obviously.
I'm
by
sure
CGI.
it is, but I don't care if it is or not. It's gorgeous.
It looks as if they've used wires or something. With Robert Englund. At times Robert Englund or England, whatever way it's pronounced. I do get sort of a chop and change sometimes with the pronunciation with his name, but his surname. But at times I think he's a little weak as Freddy in this.
I don't know. I didn't really notice it much.
Sometimes it's a little too. It's almost like he's done the role so much. He's like doing it in his sleep, for want of a pun intended. But generally it's basically it's typical Freddy fare. With his sort of one-liners and stuff. Freddy likes to say bitch a lot,
Yeah.
Welcome to my world.
This is tag.
Welcome to my world, bitch. But then Laurie, of course, turns it on him. At the end, says, welcome to my world, bitch.
you know what? The one thing about this film, I'm gonna even of all the Friday 13th, the pacing on this thing is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And from when they escape the hospital to the van and to the Camp Crystal Lake, it's 30 minutes of pure action.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Usually slash films, you kind of get away between kills, which is fine. This is more of an action cheesy slasher kind of film.
It's very tongue in cheek.
Yeah. but it works. I'm sorry, guys. I like my Freddy versus Jason, despite a lot of bad reviews.
I think it's a lot of fun. From a more critical point of view, I would say I think it's a better script. I think it's a really good script. I think sometimes the realization of the script isn't great, with things like the CGI and some of the acting, especially from the actress who plays Laurie. But, I think on black and white on paper, this is very fucking solid and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we were supposed to get more of this because it was a box office hit. They were going to do Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Yes. Apparently, at the end of Freddy versus Jason, they originally were going to bring Pinhead in as well. They were going to have Camp Crystal Lake drain, all of the water in the lake drain, and then Freddy and Jason find themselves in hell. And for the next minute, all these chains come out and sort of stick into them, and basically Pinhead appears and say something like, "Well, gentlemen," or something like that.
Oh God, yeah. I'm glad that didn't happen. To be honest,
I would really like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so this sat in a while, and again, they couldn't use the Friday the 13th name because New Line owned it and Paramount owned the name.
Yes.
So finally, they got to bed. They went to bed together, and Paramount joined for the remake, and so that's why it's called Friday the 13th again.
Yeah.
They owned European rights, and New Line held the North American rights. I believe that's how it worked.
Okay.
And we're back. We got Marcus Nipsel, who's directing. Perfect, competent director to do it. He just got off the success of the Texas Chainsaw remake, which was really good, as I remember. And this is the Platinum Doom guys, who also did the Texas Chainsaw. Platinum Doom guys are the ones who are Brad Fuller, Andrew Form, and Michael Bay.
Yes.
They produce this company so they can go and do remakes. Mm-hmm. Some of them did not work, but some of them did. And this one was a big hit. This was $19 million, $65 million it made. And they brought on the same writers who wrote Freddy vs. Jason. So, not bad. Not a bad idea. We both agreed it was competently written.
Yep.
And they brought in, I'm going to say right now, my favorite Jason of the entire franchise.
Okay, right. I'm going to lend a little bit of context just to what I'm about to say about this film, but I haven't actually, before I watched it for the podcast, I hadn't actually watched this one yet. It was a case of I meant to, but it just never really got around to it. But also, I think at the time when this was released, 2009, I was suffering from remake fatigue, and I was quite possibly in my own head judging it before seeing it. Obviously we'll go into detail here soon, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say whenever I watched this for the podcast, I was very, very pleasantly surprised, and I have to say, I think it is the best in the entire series.
A lot of people will argue that one. I certainly will argue with you in it, but you're not wrong either. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Freddy versus Jason, who really won.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. We're not going to really we will. Well, first of all, let's talk about the cast. The great thing about this film is it had an upcoming cast, but they've already dabbled into the horror.
Well, they're fucking professional actors, you know.
You had Jared Padalecki, who did Supernatural and House of Wax.
Yeah.
You had Danelle Panabaker, who did a great performance in Mr. Jones.
Yes.
I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Mr. Jones?
I'm not too sure. I don't know.
Mr. Brooks. It's with Kevin Costner plays a serial killer, and that's her.
Yes,
her
I know it. Yes, Mr. Brooks. Yes.
So good. That was her first role. You've got Derek Mears, who is an unbelievable presence. Mm-hmm. It's this hulking giant, and again, not big, overweight or muscular. He's tall, lanky, and just a beast.
Very intimidating.
Very intimidating. And I'm telling you now, and this movie backs it up. The satchel over the head is 300 times better than the hockey mask.
I agree, and I also agree that he's the best Jason.
Yep.
But
Damn right. Damn right.
I would like to say as well that one of the big plus points of this film in the previous Friday the 13th films, I mean the makers of them basically admitted it. They weren't looking actors; they were just looking sort of young adults who looked great on camera. In this one, they have a cast that can act. It's professional actors, and that is a big plus point in selling the story and the believability of what is happening to the viewer.
Now, what works and doesn't work for the film. It takes 25 minutes to get us to the Friday 13th title. And this whole opening sequence...
The cold opening?
The whole opening, from the mother's intro to the Jason intro, is so fucking good.
It is. Yep.
It is intense and brutal and gory.
And I have to say as well...
practical effects, people.
Yep. Especially the scene where Jason is stabbing up through the floorboards.
Yes, I have that on my notes.
Yeah.
What I liked about it, you got into these characters, and you only had 25 minutes and you kind of got into the characters pretty quick.
Yeah.
You knew them. Who what was. You knew who was the horny ones. You knew the pothead. You knew the boyfriend,
and they're all
girlfriend.
Apart from, the one, the sister.
The sister,
Whitney.
Michael and the sister are okay. But when they go for that walk, and you just mentioned it, when they go into his little domain.
Yeah. Very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A lot of this film. Yeah.
A little bit. And they had a little bit of the cabin used in part 2, Friday 13th.
Yes, I like that.
He when he comes through the floorboards, that sequence alone just shows you how powerful this fucker is.
Yeah.
And when Richie sees his girlfriend getting it, when he puts her bag over the campfire.
Yeah.
And he gets trapped in the bear.
The bear trap.
Bear trap. You see Jason from a distance. He stops, and he just runs and you can hear his legs are like tree trunks, and you can hear him smash, and he just piles that machete right in his face.
Yep, it's so gritty and believable and realistic, and that's what I really liked about the tone of this film overall.
And one of my favorite songs of all time is in a Friday 13th film, Sister Christian.
Yeah.
And a song you would not think, seeing someone getting butchered while listening to it. Wow, there's a flaw with this whole opening scene. It's too good. And the reason I say that... Okay, here we go. This should have played... The first 25 minutes should have been the story of the mother. And have her taking some people out. Whatever we want to do. Mm-hmm. And then the next whole act, the rest of the film should have been these guys.
I don't know. I mean, it works for me. I would have liked to see more about the mother story, and the mother's decapitation and stuff. But I think it could have the opening sequence, 25 minutes, whatever it is. I think it could have been edited a bit more and maybe cut down to maybe 15-20 minutes. Because to be honest, and I know it's intentional. These characters, apart from Whitney, they're all obnoxious as fuck, and I couldn't wait for Jason to kill them. And it is a bit of a rug pull in that they're basically setting them up as the stars of this film, but they're not really. You know what I mean? They're just the opening. See, it also reminded me a bit of the opening of the Evil Dead remake, where although it's a lot shorter. But it's such a powerful opening. It's almost what comes after. It's maybe not quite as powerful.
Yeah, but what I was saying was the second act, which is at the cabin.
Yeah.
And we talked about characters who are obnoxious. I mean, these people are all obnoxious.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But my point was, it would have played better if you had the mother featured in the first act and these guys the second. You could change the characters in the second act. I don't care.
That would have worked.
Keep it in the campsite. Get rid of the cabin in the second act. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't hurt the film or anything like that. But I would like to have seen that because what they've done here, they're pretty much, and it works and it doesn't work, is that they're playing homage to Halloween. Whoa, blasphemy. Friday 13th 1, Friday 13th 2, Friday 13th 3, and Friday 13th 4.
Yes.
So you've got the mom intro. There's one taken care of. 2, you've got the campers getting slaughtered around the campfire. Boom, 2's taken care of. 3, you got the introduction to the mask. Boom, they're 3's taken care of. And then it ends with the big, nice cabin, which we had in 4.
Yeah.
So that's what they're trying to do. Give us 1 through 4, which are the best in the franchise, and put them into one film.
Before Jason
They should have been a
became
two-part. This should have been 2-part film. They should have focused on the cabin if they did a sequel to this. But I really think the driving force of this film is the first act, the first 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it sets a tone brilliantly. And
Yes,
also,
it does that.
It also sets up Jason as basically what I would refer to as Jason Rambo or Rambo Jason. You know what I mean? This is a smart in a certain respect. This is a more elaborate Jason who actually fucking has all these booby traps and stuff. Jason is basically Rambo, and it totally works. I mean, he can use a crossbow and everything. Or it's not a crossbow; it's just a regular bow. But yeah,
which he would. I thought about that. He would be able to use because he was raised on a camp.
yeah, oh yeah.
So
I much prefer this totally believable, grounded, not immortal.
That's why I don't like Jason. 6 and up, but you like 6, and I never understood that.
But I explained to you at the, whenever we're doing those films that I think I might be tainted by rose-tinted glasses and nostalgia because I enjoyed those as a kid. But I do appreciate your comments that they're stupid as fuck, basically. Yeah.
But I do like the concept, and a lot of people didn't, that he takes Whitney for himself. We don't see that right away.
Yes.
He actually thinks he gets it. It's clever.
Right, this is the thing, the question I have. Why does he kidnap Whitney and not kill her?
Because it looks like her mother.
Yes, that's what I thought, but I just want that confirmed.
Can you remember they find the necklace?
Yes, I just wanted that confirmed.
And he goes, "Oh my God, it looks just like you."
Yes.
That's why. But they throw that off at you when he runs. Again, great cutaway.
Yeah.
When he runs up to her, raises the machete, she screams, then cut away. Friday 13th.
So it's like Jason in this film is basically, although he's a bit sort of, let's just say, mentally challenged because he's obviously confusing Whitney with his mother and stuff, and that's why he takes her as prisoner. But at the same time, he's also quite sort of clever in sort of, basically whenever he becomes stealth Rambo Jason. So you know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm not knocking up by the way. I
mean, a lot of people didn't like the underground stuff. I do.
You
got to realize how many times we watched Friday 13th and went, "Where's he living? How's he surviving?" This kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
His whole place is not that little house. It's really in the down here in the cellar, in the underground in the tunnels, and it's all made of things, little knicknacks.
Yes, exactly.
It's not made of. He didn't go to fucking IKEA.
It's thrown together, exactly. It's thrown together. And yeah, I like it. And again, it's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially the original 1973 or 74, whenever the original was released. With the house, basically Leatherface's sort of, domain. There's a lot of similarities there.
There's a lot of similarities in part 4 where you've got the brother, Clay,
yes,
who's looking for his sister Whitney, which was 100%. Part 4.
Yes, 100%.
And so a little homage to that too. Now,
how much of an asshole is Trent?
Okay, what? I was about to talk. This is too much. This is kind of hurts the film.
No, I believe it.
I'm going to tell you there's 3 things. He's good at it. Don't keep me wrong. The acting's fine.
I've met fucking. Now I know it's a bit to go a bit overboard with it, but I have met obnoxious, entitled, spoilt rich kids like that. So I totally 100% bought his character. They do go a little overboard with it, but just a little. But I totally bought it because I have met fucking real life people like that. No problem. He's a complete wanker.
Yeah, the funny thing is, he gets the coolest death.
Oh, that's completely intentional.
Yeah.
And not only the coolest death, but also it's obviously the most painful death. And that's the catharsis that the filmmakers are giving to the audience. They're saying, yeah, you hit this character, we're going to give him a long, slow, painful death for you. And it works. Totally.
Let's talk about the introduction. 3, it worked. Because, well, it was kind of sloppy. But 3, you had Shelley, and he had the mask, the hockey mask. Don't know why, but he had playing jokes and stuff.
Yes.
And he walks into the barn, and he disappears, and that's where Jason gets the mask. This one, they keep the same thing. This is Donnie, the pothead.
Yes.
He goes into a barn, technically. What a waste of a scene. Fucking get rid of this whole thing. Get rid of Donnie.
Yeah.
Get rid of this whole scene. Because look, there's a mask there. I'm going to pick it up. Mm-hmm. When you had Chewie, the fun guy, my favorite character, the Asian guy.
Yes.
Chewie, who is in the boathouse, and he's playing hockey because he's on the camp. It just freeze over. So it makes sense they have hockey equipment down there.
Yeah.
And he's playing with the hockey stick. That's where Jason should have got the mask.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would have worked, but, I mean, yeah, it was a bit
come on.
No,
Oh,
I'm agreeing with you here, Ciaran. You know what I mean? It was a bit convenient that, with the sort of this mechanic guy, this sort of hick type guy, where Jason just happened to find a mask randomly lying on the floor, a hockey mask, and he picks it up. So, yes, I agree. It would have worked better with Donnie.
Yeah, he should have taken it off Chewie's face. Mm-hmm. That would have been a better, because you're already into the character. You like the character.
Yeah,
that would have been a better passing the torch, I guess you could say, with this mask, this staple, this staple of
but the burn ups
that everyone knows.
Yeah,
I actually would have got rid of it.
The burn up
I would have done the burlap sack.
Yeah, yeah. It's much more effective, and again, it would have worked a lot better with the grittier tone, the more realistic tone of this film.
And here's another big selling point for the film. Jenna. That's kind of the love interest with Clay.
Yes.
I was shocked when I saw this in the theater that they killed her.
Yeah, brilliant.
Didn't see it coming.
They subverted our expectations.
The final girl gets it.
The final girl, yeah, really good. And I was glad that they had the balls to do that.
Yeah, because she gets stabbed in the back. Ugh.
Yeah.
She gets it. And she does it, saving her life, Whitney. And Clay's sister. It's nice. It's a nice little changing it up a little bit.
All of the deaths here are pretty good. In fact, some of them are excellent.
Lawrence's is disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's the per kid
with the axe.
When he finds Chewie,
yes,
and he runs up and he gets that's a great shot when he just whips that axe again, showing the power of this guy.
Yeah,
and he hits him in the back, and you can hear him screaming.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. They all want to go out and help him, but they can't.
Again, this is like Jason. He's tactical. This is a tactical Jason. Even though we still mentally challenged or whatever. With in certain aspects, with like the real world and the whole stuff with the mother and stuff. But he's very tactically astute.
When because he's using him as bait.
Yeah.
Is what he's doing.
How fucking annoying was that other girl? The one, she's like a bit of a slut.
Is that this one, the sex scene, which is way too long?
Yes. How fucking annoying was she?
They should have cut that scene by 10 minutes.
It was gratuitous.
Your tits, your nipples are in perfect place.
It is cringe, and they're stupendous.
How about my favorite? I remember seeing this in the theater. And Chelsea and Nolan, they were the fun ones who took the boat out.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
And the arrow, when it hits his face, scared the fuck out of me. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And then, whenever the boat, basically runs her over.
Oh, that hurt.
That's fucking...
You can feel that.
Oh, yeah. And it's so realistically done because she's dazed and stuff, and she's panicking and stuff. That's a tough scene to watch. And I'm desensitized as fuck, So, yeah, that was... I felt her pain. You know what I mean? And she has a cool death as well. You know what? All of the deaths here work.
Yeah, and the great thing is there's no cutaways.
No.
There's no. You're gonna see. We're gonna show you what we're gonna do here. Mm-hmm. I would love to have seen Friday 13th: A New Beginning. We talked about how that director got screwed.
Yes.
I would love, or Friday 13th Part 2 got screwed. Mm-hmm. I would love to see with the MPAA ratings.
Yeah.
With what these guys got away with.
Yes.
Implemented into those two films.
Yeah.
We would have got a lot more, rah moments with the old machete.
Oh yeah.
The cop stuff was fun with the eyeball.
Yes. Yeah.
It was nice. It peppered in, like I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, and 4, without being insulting.
But still holding its own as its own sort of entity and film.
Yes. I mean, it's beautifully shot. The score was brilliant. The score was really set a tone, just like what Freddy did with his tone, with his music. And the great opening, the acting was up to par. The deaths were brilliant, and kudos to Mears. kudos to Derek Mears. And, gotta love him. He was born with a thing called alopecia.
Yes, and I didn't know that he was born with that there, but I know of I know of alopecia. I've known alopecia sufferers. Yeah,
and he talked about it, and he goes, "I was so happy, like a little kid, when I got the role for Jason.
Yes,
because when he was a kid growing up, he started losing his hair, and he remembered looking and saying he kind of felt like Jason because Jason had that, kind of that thing going for him.
This is almost like a sort of like a therapy for him, I suppose. Like a real life therapy. With this." But by far the best in the series, and I am sorry that I didn't watch it in the cinemas at the time, and I only got around to watching it for this podcast. As I explained, it was just like I meant to watch it, but I never got around to it. But also, it was like, oh, another remake. I probably thought that at the time. Oh, another remake. I have no real interest. But yeah, I think this is not just the best in the series, but on its own, a very fucking solid and excellent horror film.
My whole thing about best in the series with the remake, I can't do it because you wouldn't have this film if it wasn't for 1 through 4.
I get that.
I'm not arguing with you. I mean, it's an incredibly competent film.
Yes,
very
competently directed, acted, basically every department.
I feel though that I'm not going to rank like.
Yeah.
To me, I hear what you're saying. To me, the best film is 1 through 4.
Right.
That's your series. Done. Move on. We're done. Bye, Friday the 13th. I see the Friday the 13th. We talked about this in the last one, how we ranked them all. I'm not going to do that. 1 through 4 is one film. They told their story. It's over. Yeah. 1 through 4 are the best in the series, hands down.
Okay.
Then you got the rest of the shit that fell. All right? So I'm going to say 1 through 4, perfect. There they are. They're on their own. Leave them alone.
Okay.
Then you've got the remake.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
Then you've got Part 5.
Okay.
And the rest suck.
Right. Well, I would that's totally fair enough, and I sort of I totally respect that. I suppose I'm going to try and remove my nostalgia sort of rose-tinted glasses look on things. But so what I'm going to say for me, my favorites, basically the solo films. You said 1 to 4. I think my favorites and at number 1, I would say this remake. I have to be honest. I would then say the original. That would be at number 2. Then Friday the 13th Part 2, I would say, would probably be in 3rd place. 4 then would be there as well. And I suppose for cheesy, nonsense, nostalgia, fun, I'll put 6 in there too.
Surprised you didn't put Part 3 in there, but...
Well,
but you can't... it isn't, but it tells
Freddy,
the
sorry.
story.
I would just like to add Freddy versus Jason as well, because it's hokey fun.
Besides you and I, if you replace your 6 with my 5, we'd be almost the same.
Yeah.
But at the end
sorry, with an honourable mention to Jason X as well.
We talked about Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, and we kind of give them not a pass, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. They are shit films, but we try to find something good out of them.
Yeah, there's a fun element to them.
But when you see Freddy versus Jason, the competency behind the lens, and then you see the remake, which is a fucking masterpiece compared to this shit.
Yes.
Those other films don't compare.
Yeah.
I mean, 6, 7, 8, and X and Go to Hell, they could all go to hell for all I care.
Yeah.
They're not part of my collection. It's
yes.
1 through 4, the reboot, and Freddy versus Jason. Hands down.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Ah, sad face.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It's over.
But like Jason, will we return with another Friday the 13th film? Well, we'll have to wait on one being released.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be coming. This retrospect has been fun, and I'm sure we're going to do more. We've been talking about Silence of the Lambs and actually visiting Nightmare on Elm Street, and maybe looked at the Halloweens, even though we kind of did those last year.
Yeah,
there's so much that we can tackle. So,
watch this space.
or maybe the Hellraisers are so bad, or the Children of the Corns, they're so bad they're good. We got, or we can do retrospectives like John Carpenter or Stephen King or God forbid Lynch, stuff like that. I couldn't handle Lynch. I couldn't. Speaking of Lynch, I was watching that. What did she do that one? Let me think.
What's that?
I was watching that Dahmer miniseries.
Oh yes, what's that like?
I don't know. Jennifer Lynch is the director.
Yes, David's daughter. Yeah,
it's pretty good. There's guys in American Horror Story who do pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
and they don't. What I liked about it is that they tell the stories from different aspects of the people who knew him.
I haven't seen it yet,
but they don't show you the brutality of what he did.
Right.
They decided they didn't want to do that because to honor the memory of the fallen.
Yes.
They show you the aftermath and they show you how what kind of happened, but they don't show. They kind of pull away a bit.
Yeah, it's not sort of gratuitous. Yeah. It's not cheap.
But his death, they show it.
Oh, Dahmer's death himself. Yeah.
But you guys should check it out.
Apparently, the guy that killed Dahmer, in real life, the reason he killed him, I always found this darkly humorous. The reason he killed him is because this guy was also, inside for, murder. But apparently, in his head, he felt that Dahmer was giving ordinary decent murderers like himself a bad name. So he fucking.
The rumor, I'll tell you what happened. If you guys don't want to know, I mean, most people know he died, but the guy who killed him was a born again Christian.
Right.
So Dahmer was getting a lot of press, magazine covers, and stuff like that, and he was getting fan mail.
Yes.
And he was walking around the prison acting like his shit didn't stink.
Yes.
So this guy's a born again, and he felt this is a distasteful bastard.
Yeah.
But he felt he was such a born again. He felt he was God's protector.
Yes.
And to rid the universe of people like this.
I always found the whole concept of what the fuck sort of a person sends a fan letter to a serial killer?
Well, all women.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, all killers.
Bundy got married on death row.
Yeah. Yep. And there's been many others like them,
I can't get a date. What the fuck?
Ciaran, you're doing it wrong. Just go out and sort of go on a killing spree.
Yeah, I'm gonna get laid tonight.
That's sort of to impress those chicks. Yeah.
So what do you do for a living? I'm a serial killer.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. We found that that concept of these fan letters and stuff, and these serial killers getting married and all in jail. I find it quite obscene, to be honest.
It's quite disturbing.
Yeah.
But listen, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. We're coming to Halloween month. So we will be doing, we kept talking about our Mick Garris special, which we'll be doing next. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to dive into new releases for the Halloween era, which of course Halloween Ends. And of course the Rob Zombie, oh boy, it looks bad. The Monsters, which is so bad that Universal looked at it and said, you know what, let's just give that to Netflix.
Yeah. Not a good sign.
That's a bad sign. But we got some good ones in there that we're all looking forward to seeing, especially the new Hellraiser. Be interesting. But give us a shout, guys, if you want us to do something a little different, if you want us to pepper in some old school. We did that with John Carpenter, a lost film that he did that I think a lot of people forget about, In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes.
Very Lovecraftian kind of tale.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want us to pick something a little different, let us know. Don't listen to us because you don't want to listen to that film. Just let us know if you would like to hear something different. We'll certainly take your advice on board. And you can do so at CitizenFrame_podcast and, of course, on Facebook. The new issue of blah, blah. There you are. Phantasmagoria is out now. And you available on all Amazon all over the world. Hard copy. And locally at Forbidden Planet.
Yep.
That's all I've got. Goodbye, Jason. We might see you again in the near future.
It's been emotional, Jason. Thanks for the memories.
And there we end it. Guys, take care of yourselves. All the best, and we'll chat soon.